All right, welcome to module number 16, where we are going to teach you how to use the Divi builder, how to create beautiful pages, and how to just create a wonderful website using Divi. Okay, so just to begin, looks like we're on our home page here. We're going to enable the visual builder. And that brings us to a page where basically looks the same, except we now can see sort of the elements and how they're stacked, how they're used, and we can customize them further. So just to begin, to give you a little understanding of how this builder works. So you'll see we have blue sections. Sections are they're generally full width, and within the sections we have rows. And rows, we can customize our column structure of how we want to display the information within that row. So this one has looks like a 1/3 and 2/3 option, and you can obviously change these as you go. And then within our columns that we've created, we then have elements, or modules, I'm sorry. And the modules are gray, the rows are green, and the sections are blue. So here we can see our little toolbar. Each of these elements have a number of different icons here at the top. This one obviously means we can move our module, and you can kind of drag and drop and place it wherever you'd like it to be. This little gear is our module settings, and when you click that, it'll kind of open up. This is generally the link you're going to be clicking most of the time, because this is how you edit pretty much everything within that module. I'm not going to go too deep into that right now. The next one is a duplicate module icon. So if you click that, it'll just duplicate the module. And again, this one is a trash icon. Obviously that's going to delete that module. And this one is a save module to library. So let's say we want to use this module in the future, or at least the styles, or we like the layout. We can go ahead and click that. We can name it, and we can hit save to library. Now, what global means is that if I check global, you'll see in a second. Let me just show you. Here we have, I'm just going to call it page header. And if we call it make this a global item, save to library, you'll see the color of the module actually changes to this lime green color. So that means that this module, if I place this module on another page, so actually let me just show you what that looks like. I'm going to open this up in a new tab here. So I am going to now bring in that same module. I'm going to delete that, and I am going to add from the library this module that I just created called page header. And obviously it's not going to show because it's white, so actually let me do a brief edit on this row, and we'll just add a little gray background. There we go. So now we can see that it's been changed here. So what global means is that anytime I edit anything here, it's going to change it on all of the other pages that this module, this global module, exists on. So let's say I wanted to add an S there at the end, personal stylists, and I go ahead and hit save over here at the bottom right hand corner. Wait for that to turn into a check mark. There we go. Then we can head back over here, and let me just hit refresh here. I'm gonna reload that. Restore. Save it. we're going to reload the page. And you'll see that we have the S exists over here. So that's a global module. So I actually don't want it to be global at this point, so I'm going to disable it. And we have it back to that green or that gray setting. So that's that. This last little icon here is a way to, again, we can save it to library. That's the same link as that one right there. We can disable it. So if we don't want to show this on specific devices, we can actually disable it. Let's say we only want it to show on a desktop, we'll disable it on mobile. So that way, when you come over here and you click on the mobile views, that went away. Right now it's showing as gray or like kind of like half transparent. And so you can kind of tell that that's actually not going to show up on the front end site. If you actually don't want it to show up in the preview mode, you can actually click on that three icons and you can disable that setting right there. And now you can see that in a tablet view, that module won't exist. Same with a phone view. However, when you click on the desktop, it exists again. So I'm going to go back and re-enable it because I do want it to show up. You can also lock it so you don't automatically or accidentally edit the text or any of the settings. You can certainly just lock it. Now I want to unlock it. And by the way, I'm just right-clicking on this, and that's how I'm getting this. Or you can certainly just click on these little three dots there. And let's say I wanted to copy the module. I can copy it. And let's say I wanted to paste it here. Oops. Paste the module. It's going to paste it below it. So that's another way of copying. You can certainly just duplicate it and drag it down here, or you can copy the module and paste it anywhere else. Another thing is we get to reset the module styles. And now you can see it's basically reset the styles so that they match the styles that we set up in our theme customizer. So like I said, when we were working in the theme customizer, that those styles weren't editing or they weren't showing up when we were customizing them. It's because this module had already had preset styles. So let's say I accidentally did that and I wanted to put it back. You can always change or edit, view your editing history by clicking on this little clock down here, and that will give you, different options. You'll see all of your edits that you've done, and you can always go back and revert to a previous change. So I'm gonna click on that one because I want to get those styles back. And that's essentially what, there's still some other settings here, but I'm not gonna get into those right now because it would just get too complicated. So the Divi Builder is wonderful because it's beautiful, it's easy to create pages. However, it's also really advanced as well, and it has tons of different options for really editing beautiful pages and really editing your workflow as you are building your pages. It can really help you save a lot of time. So let's jump back to show you a little bit about this little toolbar down here. You can always drag this if it's in the way. Usually, I think by default, it's gonna show up in the middle. I always like to have it on the side because I don't like to have these buttons kind of appear at the bottom here. You can always put them up in the corners, wherever you want, they will be there. You can just drag them around and they will just show up. The next thing is these three options. This is basically your builder settings. So you can choose to show different toolbars or different editing preferences here. So this basically is when you hover over an element, it'll show you your it'll show you kind of the settings toolbar there. This one is when you click on it. So as you see, when I hover over it, it's not going to actually show the toolbar. It's just going to show kind of an outline of the module. But when I click on it, then I can actually click on the toolbar. And I can also, click here to add another module and things like that. The last one is the grid mode, and that actually shows you everything all the time. So you can really get a better idea of what your page structure is like. I generally do the hover mode because I like to see it without all of those generally. And then we also have this button down here. Actually, let's jump back up here. So we have, this is actually our wireframe view. So this is going to show what the page looks like without all of the images and everything. It's really just showing us the structure. We have our header, we have a row here, we have a column, another column showing a text and a button and an image, and then the same here. You can go ahead and you can edit if you want to change this. So maybe you want to change this to be, header row, or in this one you want to say my headshot. Things like that. So you can actually get an understanding of what the actual page looks like. And then here, this also gives you the option of zooming out to see kind of like a bird's eye view of your website as well. Okay. Down here, we have a plus sign, and that is going to give us the option to load a layout from our library. And the library comes with pre-made layouts. It comes with our saved layouts. We currently don't have any, which is why nothing existed there. And then we have our existing pages. So we can also choose to load the content from another page, which is basically just duplicating that page. And before you decide to do that, you can choose to either replace the content that's currently on the page, or if you uncheck it, it will load that page's content below the content of your current page. So that is a load from library. Same thing happens over here as well. You can replace the existing content, or if you don't, it will load this layout at the bottom of your page. Okay, so that is how you add layouts to your page. Here we are able to save our entire layout here. Let me zoom back out. We have the option of saving our entire layout of this page to our library. Here we can delete the layout, clear everything on the page, start from scratch. This gives us page settings. So if we click here, this will obviously, we can edit the title of our page, we can edit the excerpt, and we can add a featured image to the page. We can choose a background color and a section background color. Normally I don't even worry about those, and I'm not going to get into split testing, but you can certainly check that out. And then we can choose to maybe display a different color palette for this page. We can also change our gutter width on this page as well. And we can change our light and our dark text color. In the Advanced tab, we can add custom CSS. So if you are a coder, if you know CSS and you want to add some custom CSS to the page, you can do that here. This performance, don't really worry about this. This is basically everything, all the customizations that you're creating on your page. It's going to put all of that code in a separate CSS file rather than putting that content right onto the page. It's going to create an actual file where our builder, our website, will be able to load that file and just put all of that code in that file. Visibility, don't even worry about that. All right, so that is that. The next one we have is, again, we went over this, that is our editing states. We can certainly go back and edit and go back to previous states. Then we have our import and export option. So let's say we want to actually take this layout and import it into another website. We can't actually just save it to our library because the other website doesn't have that same library. So we actually want to export this page. And so this is how you would do that. You could export that page and then import it into a different website's page, assuming it has Divi. And then here, this is where you would do it. If, like, let's say you had you exported a page layout from a different website, you can import it into this website. Here, you would just upload the file here, and then you could either replace the existing content or you could just load it at the bottom. And that's pretty much it. The next thing I want to let you guys know is that the Divi Builder is always changing. It's always changing. They're always improving it. They're always adding new features, which is great. Sometimes it can be kind of annoying because you get used to using it a certain way, and then they change it. However, it's for the best. You know, you always want to have an updated builder that's always improving and creating a much easier way for you to create pages. So I'm not going to get into too much detail around the rest of this page. I think you have a pretty good understanding of how the builder works. You know, to add certain modules and things like that, you just hit any of the plus signs and this will help you add a module here. If you click on the green one, you're going to add a row into this section underneath this one. And if you click the blue, it's going to add a section in between these two sections. And, you know, so I'm not going to get too deep into that because most of this is just you having to go in and just teach yourself, kind of show yourself the way. You'll be able to come in to our weekly Q&A webinars where I can walk you through certain questions you may have, or, you know, if you have a layout that you want me to give you feedback on, or you're confused about something, I can certainly help you with that during those webinars. So that would be the best way for you to get the support in that way. Secondly, you'll see, you know, Divi already comes with tons of tutorials. For instance, this is a text module here. If I actually click on the settings, at the bottom you'll see a little help icon, and when you click that, you'll actually get a tutorial right here, a couple different tutorials that will actually walk you through that specific module and how to actually use it. So I don't want to get into all the specifics around that because, like I said before, I don't want to reinvent the wheel. So, you know, Divi creates hundreds and hundreds of tutorials already that are freely available for you to watch, and I will actually have those available underneath this video. So you can go ahead and, you know, watch those videos and learn about each of the modules. Now, you don't certainly have to watch all of them. There's a lot of videos and it would take hours and hours and hours to do all of that. However, if you have any questions about certain, you know, modules and how to use them, go into the module and click that little help icon, and that will give you the tutorials where you can learn about it. And if that doesn't solve your problem or if it doesn't answer your question, then please bring your questions to our weekly Q&A webinars where I would be happy to answer your questions for you. Also, feel free to take those questions to the Facebook group and post them there. I will be there to answer questions, and so will the community. So that is just a brief overview of the builder and how to use it. Again, you can always click on any of the text and just edit it that way. You know, highlight it, and this is the new text that I offer, whatever. You know, you can certainly just modify it that way. So my recommendation is that you just go ahead and get started, just dive right in and start playing around. Just start getting used to building using the Divi Builder, okay? If you have any questions, please bring them to the Q&A webinars we hold weekly, and we'll see you there. Happy designing!